Students, I hope you are able to see the presentation. So this is about the misery index. Right? Full screen கொடுத்தா தெரியும்ல. Okay. So this is about the misery index. The next one we will see as the global hunger index. So in the misery index, you have to remember the name of the author. His name is Arthur Okun. Several times in the examination, they have even asked this as Okun's index. So for economics, it is very, very important for us to remember the name of the person who is actually giving the index as well as the indicators. So you can see here, Arthur Okun is the name of the person who has proposed this, and there are two types of miseries which this author is suggesting. So what are the types of miseries is, one is about unemployment, the another one is about the inflation. So you have to just add the unemployment and the inflation, which will result in the misery of the country. Say for example, in India, unemployment rate is 3% or 4%. I'm very sure in the COVID situation, you all must be expecting this rate to be on a higher side. We do agree to it, but I'm just giving you as an example. Say 3% of the population of the labor force or 4% is remaining unemployed. You take that number plus about the inflation, right? So far we had been telling like several things we are trying to talk after inflation. So that's what we kept on telling. So can somebody define inflation? You can write in the chat box. You can make notes of this, no problem. One word, two word, what have you understood about the word inflation? I hope you all would have heard about this word several times, right? Inflation, you can type in the chat box. I want to see. Increase in prices, hike, rise of price, increase in general price levels, increase in money supply, okay, rise in overall price, increase in price growth, slowly, money value decreases, increase in money, rise in interest rates. Wait. I want to tell one thing, right? It is increase in money, prices, that is agreed. Don't write the impact of inflation, which is like increase in the rate of interest. Recession can happen. You have given all the consequences. Finally, I see a word, continued increase in prices. So always remember this word. When you want to define inflation, increase in price level is a keyword, but you need to put one more word before it, which is continuous increase in prices. Unless you put that word continuous, the definition of inflation will never get complete, right? So now what we are trying to say is, unemployment is considered for overall the economy. It's not for a formal or informal sector. They have a way of calculating the unemployment rate. Similarly, they have a way of calculating the inflation rate. So we are going to talk about inflation in two classes, two sessions of it. In that, anyways, you will get to know like how inflation is being calculated. We have indices like wholesale price index, consumer price index, and all those things. So those things we will do in the subsequent class. As of now, if we just take this as the classroom, as the country, and if we are saying if everybody is happy or everybody is in misery, we want to see two things. One is you should be employed. If you are not employed, I'm going to call that you are in misery. Number two, even if you are employed, your income is like 10,000, but the prices of the commodities are continuously increasing. With this income, you won't be able to buy the commodities. So then again, I am going to call you that you are in misery. So these are the two things which we want to add up. The word is add. I'm telling you, when we do the calculation of inflation, you will understand that the inflation is going to be presented in percentage. What is a percentage? They're going to say like 5%, 66%, 7%. There are countries which are having 60%, 100%, 120%, 300% of inflation, all those things. Later we will study. As of now, for India, if you look at these numbers, it's going to be somewhere between like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, these kinds of percentages. So if you want to call what is the level of misery for the country, you can do addition of two things. If we say the inflation rate is 5%, and if you say the unemployment rate is 4%, you just have to add 5% plus 4%, which will result in 9% of the misery for the country. Right? So 9% will be the level of the misery for the country. So that's how we calculate the misery index. This was the question which was asked in one of the year preliminary examination. They gave misery index for several countries and they asked which country is the most miserable one. I'll give you a demonstration of like how they had asked the question. Just give me a minute. See, they had given a diagram like this. Misery index is the addition of inflation rate plus unemployment. This is the formula, right? So how they had given the question is, they had given the question like the multiple bar diagrams. They called this as the country A. Then they called this as the country B. Country C. So the first one is the inflation rate. The second one is the unemployment rate. This is inflation rate. The box with the straight line is unemployment. So they had asked the question, which country is facing the highest misery? So what are you supposed to, how are you supposed to answer this? They had given the numbers also on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So you can see the percentage here. If this is 2% and if this is 3%, you should add and put it as 5%. This is 2.5%. This is 2%. You have to add and put it as 4.5%. This is 4% and this is 2%. You have to add it and put it as 6%. Then you should say that this country is seeming to be most miserable, right? I hope you got the point what I was trying to tell, right? You just have to simply add these two rates and then present it as the misery. Today I have wrote two major variables of the economy. One is the inflation, another one is unemployment. These two are major key variables. We are going to study about it repeatedly in the economics theory. Again, in inflation class, I'll be teaching you something on Phillips curve. I'll be teaching you something on concept like stagflation. For all of those things, these two variables will be important. When we get into the other class, I will ask you, have you ever studied about these two variables again? So these are two major macroeconomic variables what we have mentioned today. And remember this index as Hawkins index also. Please always remember this word, Arthur Hawkins index. These are the things, right? So that's about your misery index. Now we move on to the other major indicator, which is the global hunger index. So who is proposing this global hunger index? See, this index is being given by an author. Every year you can, usually most of the macroeconomic indicators, you can pick from the data and then calculate. Government actually doesn't announce and all. It's an indicator, global level, it is being taken and you can calculate for and then present it, right? Sometimes unemployment in another country, suppose if we get the misery equal, we should just see misery being equal is all not fair. We should not have a misery to be on a higher level. We should have the lower levels of misery. See, I'll tell you one more thing. Inflation is a concept which we have not discussed so far, right? There are so many perspectives to inflation, which I will add on later. I'm going to ask you a question later, whether inflation is a misery at all. That discussion will come later. I hope you understood my question. Today, we are declaring inflation as a misery. Tomorrow, when we study inflation in the class, we are going to talk about continuous increase in prices, and there is certain amount of prices which the government itself is going to allow to happen. So then will come the question whether inflation is a misery at all. At that situation, we will answer it differently. Today's class, all we are doing is, I have only told you what Arthur Okun has told you. Okun considers two variables as the measure of misery, which I have told you. Discussions about whether it is really a misery, unemployment is always a misery. I'm not going to dispute on it. But whether inflation is a misery or not, we are going to have a discussion later when we are done with the concept of the inflation. Right? We're going to study lots of concepts related to inflation, like inflation, stagflation, disinflation, deflation, reflation. There are so many things. So when we get into that kind of a discussion, then I'll tell you whether really inflation is a misery or not. Discussions reserved for the future class. So now what we'll do is, we will move on to this global hunger index, which is given by IFPRI. What is IFPRI? International Food Policy Research Institute. International Food Policy Research Institute. Right? So what are we now going to measure? We are going to measure how much percentage of the population is malnourished. What are we talking about? We are talking about hunger. So we should talk about the nutrition, right? When we talk about the nutrition, we can say that one person should be having at least a minimum amount of nutrition every day. If he is not having even that minimum amount of nutrition, then we are going to call that he is actually into the concept of this hunger. When you are talking about nutrition, also get this overall perspective that we may be having enough of food, but we may not be having enough of nutrition. So maybe India is still having the concept of food security, but India is not having the concept of nutrition security. I hope you all are making the difference between these two words. When you are saying that India is distributing the food through the public distribution system and people are getting the food, you may be seeing as if India is not suffering from hunger because everybody is getting food. But now we are discussing something which is called as hunger index. So you are going to be like surprised by the data what I'm going to show you, because though India is having food and we are declaring to the rest of the world, India is having so much of food stored in the buffer stock and other things. We are giving food through the rice and wheat and everything through the public distribution system. There is a concept which is called as the nutrition, which we are not able to satisfy. So we are going to talk in terms of hunger index today, where we are going to say the first indicator of this, there are three things in this global hunger index. The first thing is about the percentage of the population malnourished. See, when you are writing the word malnourished, malnutrition. When you are saying malnutrition, there are two ways of understanding the malnutrition. What are the two ways? One is either you may be having overnutrition, or you may be having undernutrition, right? Why overnutrition should be taken as malnourishment? That is also malnourishment, because if you're having too much of fat, or if you're having only too much of carbohydrates, say for example in some kind of the African countries where they have only the cassava, which is the tapioca thing, they can eat only that because that is only available for them to have as a food. But if they have that only thing, then it is going to result in too much of carbohydrates. it will be sounding like overnutrition of the carbohydrates, and they will be resulting in obesity, which all will give you varieties of diseases. But that doesn't mean that they are not having hunger. The hunger is still unaddressed for the proteins, minerals, vitamins, and other things. So though you are having overnutrition, still I will want to call you as a hunger person. So here we are going to say that mainly, but we are addressing the concept of the undernutrition through this. Sometimes in these kinds of countries where they have availability of only one particular thing and they're not able to access other vitamins, proteins, and minerals, then also it is going to be considered as malnourished, right? So that's one of the things. The second thing is percentage of the children malnourished. Here we always talk about the under 5 children, because they are the people who will be very, very vulnerable to the lack of nutrition. And you are also going to see the child mortality rate. Child mortality rate will be like, again, less than 5 years old. How many number of children are dying per 1000 live births, right? When you're talking about children malnourishment, you can talk about two things. They may not be growing to the height they are expected, which is stunted. They may not be having the weight to their height, which is wasted, right? So there are two types of difficulties with the children if they don't have enough of nutrition. One is they don't grow to the height which is required to their age. So height to the age and weight to the height. This is height to age. This is weight to height. So children may not be having enough height. Children may not be having enough weight. They may be malnourished, and population is also malnourished. There is more of under 5 child mortality. So all of these things are going to be taken into consideration while calculating the global hunger index, right? So I'll show you the data about this. Based upon this, they have a scale. What is a scale? Like how we do 0 to 1 in Human Development Index, Global Hunger Index is taken between 0 to 100. Give me a sec. I'm going to share you a screen now, in which you can see how the 0 to 100 is going to be distributed across the world according to the severity of the hunger. Are you able to see the map? This is Global Hunger Index by severity. Right? Less than 5 is age. I'm saying less than 5. Yeah, if you are having weight more than the particular age, suppose a 4-year-old child is supposed to have a particular weight and a particular height, any deviation from that will be taken as the malnourishment, percentage of malnourishment. And I want all of you to look at this this corner, the left hand side or the right hand side of the laptop in the screen. Are you seeing low hunger countries are described as less than 9.9? So these are all the values which you need to know. Moderate hunger countries will be having between 10 to 19.9. I told you the scale is between 0 to 100. We are dividing the 0 to 100 as less than 10, less than 10 to the 20, 10 to 19.9. 20 to 34.9, 35 to 49.9, more than 50. So accordingly, the countries will be called as low hunger countries, moderate hunger countries, seriously hunger countries, alarmingly hunger countries, extremely alarmingly hunger countries. And where is India? Where is India? Anybody? You can type. I'll see the answer. Serious? Yes, it is seriously hunger country. USA, maybe they didn't want to calculate hunger because there is no hunger over there. We should assume things, right? They have given you the star mark. Can you see that it is not included or insufficient data? It's not believable that they don't have data, but it is because they are not included in the calculation. Probably they just wanted to look at the developing countries also. So can you see that India is in, that is also not Sri Lanka, and they have not included. Let us talk about India. Less than 5 is 5 years of age. Repeatedly you are asking the doubt. So it's less than 5 means 5 years of age. So can you see these values? And India is seriously hunger. So when you are going to talk about, that's why I told you in the beginning itself, India may be food secured country, but India is still not a nutrition secured country, which is why we are having like 20 to 30, we are falling into that belt of at least 20% of our people are still having this, this kind of a seriously hunger country, right? So this is the status of the global hunger index, and this is updated every year. You can even see the data. For India, it is 30.3. Can you see that? The score which is written, right? So for India, Pakistan is even less hunger than us, but India is more in this particular year. Actually, we were in a moderately hunger country. Slowly, we are moving towards this serious hunger. So the situation is not, maybe in this COVID year, we are even going to get a very bad data. Less nutrition due to less intake or less quality. It is because of the less quality, right? So you can go on, have your mouse pointed on any of these things. I'll share this link once the class is over. You can check for yourself, or if you just type in the Google Chrome, it's going to come. Global Hunger Index, if you type, it will come, right? So that's about the Global Hunger Index. So let us get back to the class. So after this, we need to now move towards PQLI. So this is our physical quality of life index, the third indicator for today. We are done with misery index. We are done with global hunger index. Now the third thing, which is physical quality of life index. You can see that there are 3 things in it. One is the literacy rate, infant mortality, and life expectancy. Are we done with the earlier indicators? What is the value for India in GHI? 30.3. Wealth hunger life is, it's like one NGO which is associated with IFPRI to publish the GHI, right? Wealth hunger life is an NGO. It's a German based NGO which publishes it. Large population, of course, it will be there. Calculation methods are not required for our examination purpose. Last to last year, we had a question on global hunger index. They were asking about child stunting and child wasting. I told you about the percentage of children malnourished, right? And we gave you 2 dimensions of it. Last to last year, preliminary question paper, UPSC, you can go to the website and you can check. There was a question on global hunger index. They didn't ask about the position of India or the value or severe hunger and other things, but they have asked about the indicators. We had like 3 dimensions and 4 indicators. So they have asked about the child part, the middle part, child stunting and child wasting. So that was the question which was asked in the previous year. So these are some of the very popular things, and PQLI is also your very favorite question of UPSC. As the title of the indicator is telling you, you can see that this is physical quality of life index, right? If you go back and recall what we have studied so far in HDI and other things, you can see 3 dimensions. One will be education, the second one will be the health, and then you will be seeing about the quality of life, right? The quality or the standard of living was always represented through the income data. Now you just have to remember this, because the income is not going to be considered in this indicator. You will have only 2 dimensions, health and education. You had 3 dimensions for HDI: health, education, standard of living. Cut off the standard of living because it talks about the per capita income. I hope you all remember what we studied as the indicator below the standard of living dimension. What was it? Per capita, GNP at purchasing power parity terms. So it's basically the income data. Now you cut this thing off. Physical, financial. These are the 2 words which you should be always familiar with when you're learning economics. Physical is education and health. If you ask me what are all the things which I need, physically, of course, I need good education. I need to have good health. If I have these 2 things, I'll be able to earn good income. So the financial part is cut out, and now you're going to talk about only the word physical quality of life. And this index has been given by David Morris, right? And you have 3 indicators, only 2 dimensions. Education, you have 1 indicator. Health, you're going to have 2 indicators. That's what is the summary of this physical quality of life index. So in the PQLI, you are seeing actually literacy rate for the education. Can somebody tell me what is literacy rate for India? How do you define? Literacy rate? Who is a literate in India? As simple as that. Schooling, reading, writing? Yeah, reading, ability to read, write and understand from the age of 7 and above. So please remember, from the age of 7, which is very, very important. Ability to read, write and understand. These are the things which is expected to call a person as literate, right? So literacy rate is, of course, in your own mother tongue or in your regional language, you can learn it. But for us, it is from the age of 7, read, write and understand. He will be the person who will be called as literate. So literacy rate in India, what is the percentage? Similarly, they'll look at every country's literacy rate, 60%, 70%, 80%, 100%. You're going to look at it. Consider that. The second thing is about the infant mortality. Now we have to ask who is an infant? The last question in Global Hunger Index, we talked about child. Child means under 5 years, we said. How many number of children below 5 are dying per 1,000 live birth? That is what I defined as a child mortality rate. How many number of children less than age 5 dying out of 1,000 live births? Except for maternal mortality, everywhere else the denominator is 1,000. Maternal mortality ratio, I hope you all remember we studied something called as gender inequality index, and we have mentioned in that. Only maternal mortality rate will be measured per 1 lakh live births. All other mortality rate, whether it is neonatal, infant mortality or child mortality, will be measured per 1,000 live births. So now, who is an infant? Yes, less than 1 year old, right? So up to 1 year old, you're going to call the infant. Who is a neonate? Neonate. Neo is new, nate is baby, newborn baby. So till how long will you call somebody as newborn? 28 days. 28 days. This is WHO's definition, which is something like, yes, less than 28 days. Mortality rate means how many children are dying, how many infants are dying, how many mothers are dying. Based upon these things, we are calling it as the mortality. Mortality means death. We have different death rates. One is the child mortality rate, which we discussed in the Global Hunger Index. Now I am telling you about the infant mortality rate. Infant is somebody who is less than 1 year old, a baby up to 1 year old will be called as infant mortality rate. How many such babies are dying per 1,000 live birth will be called as IMR. IMR was a major Millennium Development Goal. Now we also have the Sustainable Development Goals. That also IMR is one major aspect. MMR, IMR, they both are very major aspects of health indicators, right? So 28 days baby means a neonate. Neonatal mortality rate. Neo means new, nate means baby, neonatal mortality rate. How many number of children, like the babies, less than 28 days are dying per 1000 live births will be defined as the neonatal mortality rate. So right now what we are talking is about the infant mortality rate. So we are covering the second indicator of this physical quality of life index. In a country, the literacy rate should be higher, the infant mortality rate should be lower, and life expectancy should be higher. You all know about life expectancy. We have already discussed this in the Human Development Index, because this was the indicator which was there under the health dimension. If you recall back, we were talking about Indian average life expectancy, which was something like around 68 years, 67 years, and all we were discussing. Now I am going to ask you a question, right? If I am saying on an average, one Indian lives for 68 years, how did you calculate it? Just imagine and then tell me. On an average, I'm saying I am an Indian, I will live for 68 years. So how did the government announce this data that Indian will live for 68 years? Any suggestions in your mind? What should you know as a data to say this as the data, like the life expectancy? Yes, of course. Life expectancy will be based upon the death average. That is right. Right? So you have to say how many number of people who are born in India on an average are living, depending upon how many number of age specific deaths happened. Are we hearing the word age specific death? Yes, we will be defining different age group, is it not? We can say up to 18 years in India, we can call them as children. Working age population 18 to 58, we can call them as the working age population. Above 60 as the geriatric care or the aged people. So we have different age groups. What we are going to do as the data and the statistics is, we are going to look at age specific death rate. If there are 1 lakh people in this particular age, 0 to 1 year, I'm just giving you as a data, right? India is a huge, humongous population country. I'm just giving you here as a small data. Assume that 1 lakh people are in a particular, there are 5 different age groups, and you are having 1 lakh people in every type of age group. You're going to see like the age specific death rates, and depending upon that, you're going to say that this fellow will reach at least on an average 68 years of age, right? Unless you know the death rate, you cannot announce the life expectancy for any country. That's all I want to tell here. We are not getting into too much of details. I'm just saying, if I have to find out the life expectancy of a country, I need to know whatever death, accidental death or natural death or whatever death, we have to say that how many, or it is a COVID death, whatever it is. Now, the life expectancy of all the countries are going to be revised after this COVID. You're going to note this in the subsequent years. You can see how Human Development Report is going to change, because the death rate is actually increasing in the countries, right? So that is what we are trying to tell here. What I am trying to pose as a point is, infant mortality is a death rate which is calculated up to 1 year, right? Life expectancy, they are going to calculate very many age specific death rates, and then they are going to announce a date. So there is a small criticism about the PQLI saying that 1 year death rate is also taken into consideration, and the life expectancy is also constructed upon the death rate data. So there is too much of a representation about the death rate in the data. That's all they are saying it as a criticism to PQLI. I hope you understood what we are saying. We are overemphasizing on a particular data. We are overemphasizing on health. See, if they had just given it as life expectancy, it is sounding almost like the Human Development Index. But they have added one more thing into the health, which is infant mortality. Infant mortality is a very bad indicator for a country, because one, maybe we are not taking care of the nutrition part of the children. Up to 1 year, there is nothing much that you can give to the children. You are not going to give them like the rice or the wheat or the major chapati or varieties of things. You are just going to give them the basic nutrition. Even if that is not able to be reached, which means that women of the country have not been taken care of properly. Maybe the woman is not able to feed her child properly. So there are many things which are associated in order to look at this concept of infant mortality. Maybe we are not having enough of healthcare facilities to treat the children. And you know the major reason why children die less than 1 year old? Infant diarrhea. Which means that the country is not having a very good source of drinking water. So it is not a single data. It is going to represent several social infrastructure, health infrastructure, women related issues. There are so many issues which are associated with one data called as infant mortality rate. So combine together all of these things. That's how we are going to define that whether our country is having a good PQLI or not. If you have good life expectancy, it's good. If you're having higher literacy rate, it is good. But you should not have a higher IMR, which is bad for the country. It's going to say that your country is not having a very good physical quality of life. Right? So PQLI is constructed based upon these three indicators, and they are going to say that there is a bit of overemphasis on the health because it is depending too much upon the presentation or representation of the death rate. Right? Now we have to come to a bit of a discussion part. I request. No, I'm just saying like PQLI actually talks about physical quality. It is not talking about your income, but it is actually talking about your quality of life based on two indicators or two dimensions alone. One, are you having good education? Number two, are you having good health? These are the two things, right? I want to ask you some question here. Before that, I'll go to the whiteboard so that I can ask the question. The life expectancy will be calculated based upon the age-specific death rate, right? We are not getting into the technicalities. We are just saying if you can live for a longer life, age-specific death rates, they will take up to 1 year, up to 5 years, up to 18 years, up to 59 years, above 60 years, up to 80 years, up to 70 years. Like that, they will divide the population according to the age, and they will see the age-specific death rates. Right? We are not getting into the technicalities. We just understand that if you want to know the positive, you also need to know the negative. I'll tell you a very simple example for the understanding this. Assume that 100 children are joining into first standard. And we are expecting all the 100 children to finish up to the 5th standard, which is the primary school. If all the 100 children are not reaching the 5th standard, you will immediately answer me that there was a dropout. I hope we understood, right? If you are asking how many children are in your country are primarily educated, you're going to talk not only about the gross enrollment ratio, which is just enrolling into the first standard. You're going to see how many children of this 100 reached up to 5th standard. If all the 100 are not reaching, say only 70 are reaching, right? 30 was the dropout. Similarly, you understand the death rate also. 100 people were like born and they are supposed to reach 50 years, but they did not. 30 people died. So you can declare that 70% literacy rate only based upon how many people died. So the total number is not the matter. Positive is a number, but when you say positive is a number, the rest of it is actually negative. So that's why I'm saying how many dropouts are there, based upon that only you can declare the literacy. Similarly, how much death rate, based upon that only you can declare how many years a person can actually live. So that's how you have to do the parallel. Don't get too much technically into it. You need to have both death rate and the life expectancy. Based upon the death rate only, you can tell how many years a person will be living, right? I hope you will be able to draw the parallels in it. What I wanted to tell you was about the physical quality of life index, right? For a few seconds, please don't miss the storyline, what I'm going to tell you. In person, I'll be able to get the answers out of you. Today, I'm going to do without seeing you or listening to you. Of course, I'm going to make you all type into the chat box. But I want you all to answer me so that we really understand what we are trying to do, because this is one important aspect which UPSC repeatedly asks in the question. I'm going to write two things. One is HDA, which you have already studied. The other is PQLI. Now we have studied this also. 3 dimensions of HDA, education, health, and standard of living, which you already know. Physical quality of life index, education, and health. There is no third dimension to it. And under this standard of living, you had per capita income, which is per capita GNP at PPP. Right? This is what we have studied so far. Now we'll ask a question. Can you say that a country which is having higher economic growth must have higher PQLI? Shall I repeat the question? A country which is having higher economic growth. I hope you all by now know what is economic growth. Economic growth is earning lots of money. In the initial beginning of the class, we discussed between economic growth versus economic development, right? So then we said growth is earning national income and other things. So growth means money. I'm just asking you, a country having higher economic growth must have higher PQLI. Yes or no? Okay, 47. No, yes, no, yes, no. Right. See, when you answer UPSC questions, go and look for these words like must. Okay, you have can have higher PQLI. I didn't say you can have. I told you the word must. Right? So then the question becomes no. If I say that I have lots of income, I can have higher education and health, you all would have answered it as yes. But I am giving you a word must. And then when I put the word must, immediately you started answering no. I'm just asking you, why are you saying no? Think. Not necessarily. Right? Why not necessarily? Even though you are having high levels of income, you may not have higher education and health. Not necessarily. So everybody is agreeing to this. Now I want you to tell some examples, right? I'll just write a question. You answer this, again we come back, right? I'm writing growth. I'm writing development. I hope you all by now know the meaning of these two words, right? Can you give me some example of countries which are having higher growth and higher development? Countries. Nariya panam irukku, nalla development irukku. I hope I made the point. Zyada money hai, zyada khushi bhi hai, education and health, right? So can you give me some examples? You have more education, countries. People are typing very fast. Countries. Sweden, Finland, USA, Japan, Canada. Okay. Germany, China, dangerous. Qatar, Singapore, Finland. Scandinavian countries, yes, of course. Nordic countries, yes. Right. Please wait. I'm just going to write whatever you have given to me. There are more examples for you people to write. Why this chat box is not moving? Okay. So you have given me lots of, so I just write USA, Scandinavia, and other things. Norway, Finland. You have given me lots of answers. Now I ask you second set of countries. Low growth countries, lower development countries. Some examples. Paname illa, romba kashtam. No education, no health. Pakistan, somebody is taking revenge. I can see that. Somalia, Africa, Syria, Sudan, Sri Lanka, again revenge. Somalia, okay, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, again revenge. African countries, right? So let me write some African countries, Sudan, and other things. Agreed. Pakistan, capsule, okay. So now these are the two commoner things. Everybody is understanding that if I have lots of money, I'll become very much better off in terms of education and health. That's the first category. Number two is I don't have money, so I don't have education and health. That's the second category. Now I'm going to write a third category. What's it? I have high growth, but low development. Can there be countries like this? Want to give some examples? No India, no China. For some time I'm reserving no India, no China. Other than this, you write other examples. Saudi Arabia, exactly. Thailand, Nigeria, South Africa, Kuwait, UAE, exactly. Iran. So let me pick up some. Don't put USA into it, okay? It will come on a war on us. So let us have some examples. Mostly I would like to go with this Gulf nations or the oil producing countries. Wait, right now, not the country examples. I have just come back to this smaller country examples. Some of the things what you have written, I have picked them. The Middle East, the UAE, the oil producing countries. I am very sure why you all thought that these people are earning income, but they are not doing the development. There should have been some logic behind your thought process. This is not. So you just tell me, why did you think that these people are earning money, but they are not developed? There should be some reason. Human rights, salary is more, but they're not spending on education and health. Exactly. They don't have democracy. Standard of living is bad. That's what I'm asking. Gender inequality, monarchy, political structure, life expectancy, gender equality is not there. Semi-skilled labor, no democracy. Right? Agree. So one is the political reason. Another one is, see, they are not getting into politics. Of course, once economics was completely politics, political thinking. But now, given our perspective, we can only limit ourselves towards this economic things. So for us, the major thing why education and health is not happening is mainly because of, I'm not getting into religion. It's mainly because of gender inequality. We can say like in any country, 50% of the population will be women, slightly lesser than that. If like 50%, 100 people are there, 50, 52, 53, 54 can be men, and the rest of them will be women. And if you are not dedicating enough of resources towards women's development in terms of education and health, again, I'm going to call you country as not so developed, because though you have money, you have not spent on education and health, particularly about the women. Right? So this is only one of the reasons. I'm not saying this is the reason. There could be other reasons like all you have mentioned, politics, democracy, monarchy, lack of democracy. These all could be reasons. Agree. But whatever it is, if there is an authoritarian situation, definitely women of that country are affected, and we don't give them good education and health. If we don't give good education and health, all your indicators, MMR, IMR, everything else is going to be definitely bad. Right? I hope you all remember we saw another thing called as the adolescent fertility rate on other indicator, gender inequality index. Right? Exactly. Somebody is asking about the HDI. I'll come back to that point. Please give me a few minutes to finish this discussion. I have given you a set of countries which can be called as less developed, but they are having good growth. That's what is the thing. Now let us also finish the last category of the countries where I can say that there is a low growth, but there is a high development. Can you just think of such countries? Bhutan, right? Japan, Hong Kong. Bhutan is becoming one of the major. Why did you think? Why did you think? Right? Some small examples. Why did we think that Bhutan is a better country, though it is not having much of an income, but having good happiness? How did you define the people are happy? Probably they are having good levels of, see, we are within a defined limit, right? We are talking about income, education and health. Education and health is seeming to be higher, but income is seeming to be lower. How is this becoming possible? How do you think you can educate your people and give them good health when you don't have much income? I am a less income country. How is it possible? Exactly. We should be doing more spending on the population from the government side. I may be having little bit resources, but I have to distribute it to the people in a wise way. How do I do it? Lower population, more resources, government's policies, bringing up lots of public distribution systems, public transportation system, public education system, public health system, all the public systems in the place. See, if I am a villager, if I am a farmer, I produce food for myself, I travel in the government bus, I get the rest of the food requirement from the public distribution system, I go to a government school, I go to a government hospital. What more do you expect from me for me to become into a better person? I have food, I have education, I have health, and then slowly I become like, I'm not talking about happiness in a philosophical manner. I'm just saying, like, if I get a good education and health, right? If I get a good education and health, why will I not start earning? So for me, to put this country into this first category is very, very easy. Why is it very easy? When I empower my population. If I'm educated and I'm healthy, why will I not work? I will want to work. I will want to earn. So immediately, of course, population will be lesser. Of course, the resources will be more, but they can also be scattered. So putting all the population into one level of development, you're not just leading the population and then saying they are having more resources. That's not the way how the concept of PQLI is constructed. You are ensuring that they have good education through the literacy rate. You are ensuring that they are having good health by giving them good healthcare facilities and then making them getting into good life expectancy. It's not a natural rate. It is an effort from the people's side, from the government side, right? So when you are talking about the PQLI, right, I am going to tell you all the questions. I'll take it in the break time. Just give me a few minutes for me to finish this, right? What we are trying to say is the first two categories of the countries are normal categories. I have income, I become better off. I don't have income, I am not better off. But there are country examples, as you people yourselves have said, that there are high income countries which may not be doing well in terms of development. There are low income countries which are doing very well. Given to their level of income, they are seeming to be having very high levels of education and health. When you answer these two things as yes, that's when you're going to say that all the high income countries must be having this higher PQLI as a wrong statement. Now you understood UPSC's question? All high income countries must be having higher PQLI is a wrong statement. Did we understand the statement? Because we have third and fourth categories like this. Right? This must word is not possible. This is a question which is being repeatedly asked by UPSC. You need to understand that physical quality is something different from financial quality. You may be earning more, but are you spending it wisely? No. So this earning and the spending are getting disconnected at some points, for which we have proof by ourselves. You all understood PQLI? Why did we say no for that must? Generally, it can be agreed, but you can't use the word must. Now I'll come back to the question. Somebody was asking about HDA. Are you all convinced on this kind of the left hand side, whatever I have written so far as the discussion? I want to ask you something now. What is it? You have Human Development Index. Just give me 1 or 2 more minutes. I just want to finish the discussion on Human Development Index. I'm just going to help to understand this HDA in a bit more a different way, right? Personal views, these are all essential for you to write about the Human Development Index. Do you consider Human Development Index as a perfect indicator to measure human development across the world? Tomorrow, if that kind of a question, I'll give you a break after the discussion of this, because the thought process will be cut otherwise, right? So that kind of a question can be answered in a particular way, right? Now I'm going back to the human development indicators, 3 dimensions, and we have indicators. You all know education is measured through the knowledge index. How many people, how many average years of schooling and then expected years of schooling. These were the 2 things what we have studied. That together was called as a knowledge index. Life expectancy was the health related, and per capita income is the standard of living. Now what I'm asking is, I am a country. For me, Based upon my income, I should be doing well in the education and the health. This is my source. This is my end. You all understood what I said? கையில பணம் இருந்தா நல்லா படிக்கலாம், நல்ல ஹெல்த் வரும். If you have money, you can study well, you can have a good health. Everybody follow? This is what we were saying so far for the PQLA. If you have higher economic growth, it need not be that you can have higher education and higher health. That was also proven by the third and the fourth categories. Are we following what we are saying? Right? Now, how come this HDI combines all the three things and calls the countries at different development levels? What is the logic behind this? See, I am earning, I should be spending this earning on education and health. But Human Development Index is putting all the three things across, and it is saying, say for example, I am a UAE country, right? Maybe my education levels is a bit lesser, maybe my health level is a bit lesser, but my standard of living will be very high because of my per capita income. And you know, UAE is the top country with the per capita income indicator across the world. So when my one indicator is at a very high level, though the other two things are lesser, still my country will be categorized under highly human developed country. Are we following what we are saying? Per capita income, it doesn't mean that there is an equal distribution. But also we already saw. I gave you data for per capita income for India. Did I say like every Indian is earning 1,35,000? I showed you the data. Is it true? Do you all agree that it is true? Of course, geometric method. Of course, geometric method. But still, one data is very high, but other two data are very low. Or at least low. To that level of income, it is not high, or it is equally high. But still, the country will be placed under high developed country or a very highly developed country. What is the logic this HDA is trying to prove? For me as a person studying economics, I will still appreciate PQLI as a better measure than HDA. Do you all agree with me? Do you all agree with me, right? For me, PQLI is a better measure than when compared with Human Development Index, because Human Development is putting income as the indicator for the standard of living, which I don't agree personally. As Vaishnavi, I don't agree. I don't want the income. See, even in the multidimensional poverty index, under the standard of living, they saw that whether you are having access to resources like assets, do you have enough drinking water, do you have electricity access, do you have access to good source of this material to construct your house. Those were the things. Multidimensional poverty index is a much better index. PQLI is a much better index. I still don't agree with Human Development Index including per capita income as the standard of living indicator. Yes? Income is a measure of human productivity, but per capita income is not going to help you, sir, in terms of understanding whether every person is earning the same thing. It's a difficult thing. As somebody else was mentioning, 10% of the total income of this country is, or like 10% of the people in the country are earning 80 to 90% of the total income of the country. You can see that India is having very millionaires, billionaires, a few of them holding huge income. And many poor people are still very poor, right? Though the percentage of the population, you can say that percentage, 20% of the population only is under poverty. You put it in the numericals, right? You will be still calling crores and crores of people falling under poverty. Look at the absolute numbers. This is why it is very scary to calculate MMR, IMR, child mortality, poverty, anything you take, the kind of absolute number what the country is going to have will be like on the top. Because China, as I told you, though it is having very high population, even higher than India, but still it is standing in a different development level, right? India only is there in the moderately developed country, whereas China is in the high category, right? IMR, of course, will include neonatal. So this is one of the things which we need to remember. Higher finance level doesn't ensure that higher education or health will be insured in the country, right? So that's one favorite question is completely neglecting income may not be like fine. Maybe you can represent it through the employment levels. There are many other ways how you can actually bring in the third perspective, standard of living for the Human Development Index. So you can write these things as the limitations of HDI. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You can have discussions, and there are more discussions to it. Once we are done with this, I'll add on more. As of now, I'm just trying to highlight the issues in the calculation of HDI. Once we are done with all the indicators, we need to have an overall understanding about the indicators. The 5 major things of HDR: misery index, global hunger index, PQLI, and the last one, what we are going to study now is technology achievement index. Maybe I'll just give you 2-3 minutes break and then continue. Right? So HDI limitation is mainly because it is taking income into the standard of living, which is not agreeable. Communist countries will have better development. It also depends upon the resources available with that country to share with everyone, right? That's also there. PQLI is better than HDI, of course. Standard of living should be represented through the assets and the things what they have. It shouldn't be just depending upon the income what they have, right? Question is about if a country is having higher economic growth, it must be having a higher PQLI. That must part is not accepted by UPSC. Several years it has asked this question in different ways. Yet another question in the first chapter which UPSC likes a lot is about ICAR, incremental capital output ratio. It keeps on asking about the efficiency, and then higher ICAR, higher the efficiency, lower ICAR, higher the efficiency. That kind of a combination it keeps working out. And similarly, if must is not there, if maybe it can have and all is there, you can answer it. I agree to it. But if this must word comes in PQLI, please be very, very careful. The other, now HDA having limitations, now also HDA is having limitations, right? I'll tell you one more limitation of HDI, to understand, right? We're talking about life expectancy, right? Life expectancy, already I told, like, it depends upon the death rate. Death rate, of course, maybe because of the COVID situation this year, it will be bad. But generally, death rate is a data which actually changes only once in a while for a country. Because you have to bring in a lot of technological innovations, you have to improve the healthcare facilities, access to the healthcare facilities, affordability to it. So there are lots of aspects. So when they started this NRHM, are you all familiar with this word, National Rural Health Mission? Are you all familiar with the word Janani Suraksha Yojana, JSY? Are you all familiar with the word institutional deliveries? Institutional deliveries, right? When Janani Suraksha Yojana was brought in, Janani Suraksha is basically protecting the women. And what do we do to them? Now we've got lots of Matru Vandana, there are lots of other things. But the beginning was with the JSY. It was a huge revolution, actually, to say. Making women to go to hospitals to deliver. That itself was a great thing. Why is it so great? Right? Because there was a very high percentage of home delivery in several states. What is this home delivery? If you deliver at home, mother may die or the child may die. There will be lots of complications, lots of infections, right? So to avoid all of these things, they are supporting lots of girls at the village level to go and talk to the pregnant women, give them some incentives. Tamil Nadu is spending 12,000 rupees per pregnant woman. There is a scheme called as Muthulakshmi Reddy scheme in Tamil Nadu, right? Antenatal, when they are pregnant, they will give them 6,000 rupees. At the time of delivery, if they come to the hospital, then they'll give them some money. After going back home, they have to be continuously under monitoring for 42 days, which is 6 weeks. Then also they'll give them some money, right? Why do we have to give them money? Of course, in order to give them nutrition, to buy the medicines, to buy the iron and the folic acid tablets, all of these things. These are all the things which actually put down our number of MMR from 400 plus to today we are having some number around 174. This was possible only mainly because of these ASHA workers, of course. They are all the people, they are the girls who went and met the pregnancy women. They asked them to come to the hospital. Grassroots level work and all went in, right? So what we are trying to say is 10 years later that we are able to see some number coming down from higher level to lower level. So that's how this life expectancy, literacy rate, how many number of average years of schooling, all of these things are long-term rates. So if you're seeing human development index, you can't say that India will be jumping from 129th rank into 99th rank or 87th rank that easily. It is not possible. You have to work for several years slowly to build your education and health thing so that one fine day you can become into a better developed country. And you remember one more thing, everybody is in the race. Unless you run along with everybody, though you are doing better, you will be still in the same rank. I hope you all understood what I'm trying to tell, right? You are running faster, maybe you will be thinking you are running faster than before, but somebody is also running faster than you, again you will be remaining in the same rank, right? So human development index has its own implications. One is most of the indicators are long term. Your study about the literacy or about the health, everything is for long term. Unless the country does some reforms and then waits for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, you won't be able to change the see the change in the death rates. Unless COVID vaccine is going to be found out, we are not going to be like improving the situation in the next few years. So it's a long-term process. Health and education both are long-term process. So you can't be expecting a drastic change in the human development index immediately. So that's also one of the things. So there's no way of talking about the changes which are happening rapidly inside the country. You have to wait to see the changes in the human development index. That's yet another like the kind of a limitation. So when you're comparing yourself with the rest of the world, you have to do long-term reforms. The election is held in once in 10 years. Of course, the whole country will become very conveniently corrupt, right? You should always give threat to the system. Only then it, of course, one is your own concerns. You have to be working very promptly. Other thing is the social regulations, right? I thought I was in break all this time. Again, somebody is asking for break. So maybe like 2-3 minutes, 11:55 or 56, we'll come back. And then I still have to finish Technology Achievement Index and the Lawrence Curve Gini Index. Then slowly we'll move into the public finance. Are we going slow today? Seems like I'm not even finished. Are we going slow? Should I pick up a bit more speed? Seems like, okay. Okay, one more indicator, then we are getting into the conceptual part about measuring the income inequality. If you have any doubts, you can type towards the end of the class. Again, we will continue, right? 5 minutes break, I will get back. Okay, we get back to the class. We were almost like done with this PQLI. Now we will see what is Technology Achievement Index, the last indicator. So, okay, this is also like given by UNDP. There are 4 dimensions to it. First, let us ask to ourselves what is technology. You're going to say like anything which is going to make your life easier and better. Any scientific inventions or anything, including a mobile phone, including satellites, and including varieties of the softwares what we have. So all of those things we are going to call as the technology. And we are talking about technology's achievement, right? So this technology achievement is also going to make our standard of living better, which is why we are going to classify this as one of the developmental indicators. So then UNDP is looking at it and then says like which country is achieving what depending upon how many technologies or a country is inventing. That's the first dimension. So you can see here how many newer technologies are being like brought in by a country, which you can understand by looking at the what the patents which you apply, the royalties what you get. So there are some indications of newer technologies. The second thing is once you find out a technology, it should reach people. Otherwise, there is no use of it, right? So there should be diffusion of the innovations, right? So if you are finding out something like artificial intelligence is there, it is a technology. You are finding out a robot, you are finding out a machine to do certain things. But whether it is reaching to everybody, so that is diffusing recent innovations. Then you can look at diffusing of the innovations which are like found like 5 or 10 years before, at least now whether it has reached to all the sections of the population. So third one is called as diffusion of older innovations. Finally, any country should be having enough of human resources if you want to understand the technology and absorb it. So these are the 4 dimensions to it, and this is how you can look at it. The first thing is technology creation. We said about the patents and other things, royalties, license fees and all. So they are all indicators to show that how innovative our country is. We should find out newer technologies. Then we will be getting more patents. There are domestic patents as well as international patents. So all of those things, if India is getting more number of patents, we can be proud that we are doing good innovation. But actually India is not having very good levels of innovation. That's the current status. I'll tell you where India stands. The second thing is about the diffusion of recent innovations. This is what we said about the high technology, artificial intelligence, number of people who are making use of internet. I think in the recent days, you are reading from the newspaper that this online education is affected because mainly like many percentage, more than 50% of these students in the rural area are not having to the internet access. So then how can we call that our country is technologically achieved? So diffusion of recent innovation is not happening in a much better way in many of the countries. Then you can see the third one, diffusion of old innovations. We can consider mobile phone invention as one of the older innovations. We started getting the cell phones only from the beginning of 2000. Those days and all, every household will have only one landline, right? So we even would have gone to the neighbor houses to talk on the landline when our friend calls. But these days, we have like everybody is having a cell phone, and there is also a practice which is like one cell phone having dual SIM, all those things, right? So when you're measuring something called as tele density, what do you mean by tele density? In one particular geographical area, how many number of telephone connections are there is what you're going to see. This is like somewhere around 150% to 170% in urban for India. So how can that be 150 or 170%? This is all mainly because of the more number of SIMs or the corrections per person, right? So like this, we are seeing that the diffusion of the older innovation has happened to certain extent in India, but recent innovations are yet to reach the most of the population. And then we are looking at the fourth thing, human skill, which means like whether you are enrolling into the higher level of science education. Do we have good level of research and development in the country? Are we doing very good journal publications? They are all going to be uh, indicators of talking about good human skills, right? So based upon this, they are categorizing the countries into like different groups, like leaders who will be having all the four things as a good thing. Potential leaders, they would have this third and the fourth thing as very good, right? If you look at diffusion of old innovations and human skills, uh, potential leaders will be having good things. And when you look at the third category, which is dynamic adopters, this is where India actually falls. Here, India has two things. One is diffusion of recent innovations. Then we have good human skills. These are the two things. India is good in 2 and 4. And the last category is marginalized, who are slow in all the 4. Right? So maybe I can write on this if I can. Just give me a second. So if you are seeing leaders, they are good in all the 4. If you see the second category, which is potential leaders, they have 3 and 4 good, which is diffusion of older innovations and human skills. India actually belongs to this dynamic adopters, which is 2 and 4, which means that you can hear to the word dynamic. Dynamic means very quick, right? You go and adopt anything. iPhone comes in US, immediately want to adopt. But we are not innovators. We are not creating iPhones. We are only adopting. So diffusion of recent innovations, which still has not reached the mass of the population. But we have that much of human skills to adapt it very quickly. That's the nature of India. And the last thing is the marginalized. Marginalized countries will be slow in all the 4. So this is also one kind of representing the development level of a country. Where does a country stand in terms of the technology achievement? So that's the fourth, the major indicator which we wanted to study. Now we are slowly moving towards the concept of measuring income inequality. First slide, okay. Slides we actually do share. I should say what mouse, okay. Right, so this is capturing 4 dimensions. For each dimension, what is that you see as the indicators, possible indicators, is what we have written here in this slide. And then we are calling 4 different countries depending upon the value what we get between 0 to 1. In that we are talking about 4 different types of countries. India belongs to dynamic adopters, right? So now gross tertiary enrollment ratio is like your tertiary level enrollment is all higher education enrollment. You can go to the PG level, PhD level, MS level. They are all the higher levels of marginal countries are slow in all the things, right? But enrollment at a very high levels of education will be called as the gross tertiary science enrollment ratio. Range and all you need not remember. See, actually UNDP is not regularly updating this indicator on technology achievement index, but we need to know that this kind of an indicator exists and the categories. So the 4 major dimensions and the categories of the countries, and where most likely India can belong. That much if you remember, that's enough for the examination purpose. Right. So now what we'll do is, I hope we are done with this countries based on the technology thing. Now let us, what is still about? Third diffusion is, see, you have to call the innovations as recent innovations and older innovations. Recent innovations will be diffusing. Diffusing means it has to reach the people. How fastly is it reaching the people is what we want to see. If it is reaching very slow, then our absorption capacity of the technology is very slow. So we are seeing you have found something out newly, something now it is fine. But I want an evidence. What happened to those innovations which were found out 10 years before, 20 years before? Has it reached the people already? If you have enough evidence for that, then I will believe that whatever you are doing now will also reach the people. So that's how you understand the diffusion concept. Diffusion of recent innovations, diffusion of old innovations. How many innovations have reached your people? Has it made the life of the people better off or not? These are all the understandings which the technology achievement index is giving. Right? All the this particular index UNDP is publishing, like your HDI, IHDI, like that. Yes, of course, India has good tele density, which is why I am saying India has a good, but it is only in one particular way. That's one of the examples. The other example, what we said was about the electricity consumption per capita. You can see even today there are lots of villages in India which is not having enough access to the electricity. Why talk about villages? Even Tamil Nadu at one point of time suffered with lack of electricity, which is supposed to be one of the better developed states. Right? But what India is capable of doing is, because of the good human skills, we just go and adapt the newer innovations very fastly. Mainly because also we are good in the service sector, we are good in the software services and all. We are adapting to the newer things. But these things reaching the public, it takes time. That's a point for India. Right? So now let us go to the whiteboard to finish the last concept on the measuring income inequality. Measuring income inequality. Why do we have to measure? First question into your mind. We had been talking about per capita income. We were all like not satisfied with it. We kept on saying per capita income is actually not going to help us understand the distribution of income, because it's just an average. So is India really becoming better off? We want to understand. In terms of income, we just know the per capita income, but we know it is not true. So we want to understand the income data of the country in a bit more better way along with the population, right? One thing what we all know is about the national income. GDP is there, it is growing, there is some percentage representation, but we want to combine the income with the population. One way how we have done is per capita income, but we know the limitation. Now we are going to study the income versus population in a much better way, so that we understand the distribution of the income, right? So that's what we are going to do, which is why the title written here as income inequality. Never call this concept as measuring inequality. Always make use of the middle word income inequality, right? So now we will see what we have to do. We are going to make use of two statistical concepts which are going to help us to understand this. One is called as the Lorenz curve. Another one is called as the Gini index. Right? This is a diagrammatic representation. This is a mathematical representation. What we are going to do is assume that this classroom is this room is a classroom, and I have 100 people in this classroom, right? I'm going to draw a graph, right? In this 100 people, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask all the 100 people to stand according to their levels of income, which is ascending order of their levels of income, right? And put all these 100 people into 5 equal groups. I hope you're all familiar by now, familiar with the words like quartile distribution. You remember we talked about it when we were discussing about HDI, right? So we said low developed countries, moderately developed countries, highly developed countries, very highly developed countries. That was all based upon the quartile distribution, 25%. Now I am telling you a word, quintile. Quintile means what? Dividing the 100 people into 5 groups. How can you divide them into 5 groups? You can make into 20, 40, 60, 80 and 100, right? So I am writing what I am telling to you now. 20% of the population, 40%, 60%, 80% along the 100. I have written the population in the x-axis. What I have done, I've asked all the people to stand in an ascending order of their income level and made them into 20 people into a group. So I have made 5 quintiles. Now I am going to make use of the terminology quintile 1, quintile 2, quintile 3, quintile 4, quintile 5. 5 quintiles. Right? Now what I am going to ask is, all the 100 people together give me 1000 rupees. What we said. I'm just giving you some numerical examples so that we finish the concept and understand what we are talking. I am asking all the 1000 people to give me 100 people to give me 1000 rupees. Screen is not visible. Students, is the screen visible? Yes or no? Screen visible? Yes. Right? So have we understood the question? 100 people, 1000 rupees I want. How much each person should give me? You can answer through the chat box. 100 பேர் இருக்காங்க 1000 ரூபாய் வேணும். How much each person should give me? 100 people, 1000 rupees I want to collect from all of you. 10 rupees? Super. So now what I'm going to tell is, I already told you I am making all of you into 5 groups. So first 20 people will give me 200 rupees. You all agree? Then every set of 20 people will be giving me 200 rupees, so that everything together will make into 1000 rupees. So I'm going to write this. What I'm telling you, I am right. And I have a way to tell this now. What I have written on the board is population versus its income. Right? Population versus its income. But I have to tell it in a particular way. What is this particular way? I have to call first 20% of the population gave me 200 rupees. First 40% of the population gave me 400 rupees. First 60% of the population gave me 600 rupees. First 80% of the population gave me 800 rupees. All the 100 people together gave me 1000 rupees. I'm going to add a word here, which is called as cumulative population versus its cumulative income. All of you followed? I have a way to describe this income versus population. 20% of the population giving me 200. I have to make use of this word. First 20, first 40, first 60, first 80, all the 100 together. Exactly. It is cumulative. Now I am going to mark the points what I told you as first 20%, first 40%. How do I mark this? I'm going to mark something like this. First 20% has to give me 200 rupees. First 40 has to give me 400 rupees. 60, 600 rupees, 80, 800 rupees, all the 100,000. Everybody was able to draw this line? It's a straight line, yes. Right? Now, how did I construct this straight line is with an assumption, all the 100 people gave me equally 10 rupees per head, so that I have collected 10 rupees from every person and I made the total as 1,000 rupees. Everybody understood? So everybody contributed 10 rupees each and I constructed this line. So I am going to call this line as line of equality. Everybody follow? I have called this line as line of equality. Why did I call this? On what basis categorized into 5 groups? Based upon the levels of income. I earn more, you earn less. Whoever is earning less, he will be closer to the 0. Whoever is earning more, he will be towards the end. But how much am I contributing? It is 10 rupees. Why is the board not visible? Is the board not visible? I'm getting worried. For some people it's visible, some people it's not visible. It's visible only. Okay. Right. So what we are trying to say is, we have asked the population to stand in a particular order. Generally, we want them to order according to their levels of income. Right? If everybody is earning the same income, right, we just divide the population into 5 groups. That's all. But the question now is, can we ever achieve that everybody is achieving or earning same levels of income? Yes. No. Can you say that all are earning same levels of income and every person in the country will be contributing 10 rupees to the total 1,000 rupees? Yeah, I wanted to collect 1,000 rupees. No. So now let us get back to the reality. I have arranged the people according to their levels of income. So what will happen in this area or in this first 20, there will be people who will be poorer, which means that they will be able to contribute only less to the 1,000 rupees. Right? Contribution means tax, not the tax. It's the total income. How much am I earning? Right? So based upon, I'm just trying to put this 10 rupees as your contribution and 1,000 rupees as the total national income. So how much everybody is contributing to the total national income is what I'm trying to tell. That I will tell towards the late. Once we are completing the concept, I will tell you. Right? What we are trying to now tell is, not every person is able to contribute the same amount to the national income. If everybody is contributing the same amount, it will become a linear line, which is what we have called it as the line of equality. But line of equality is the optimal condition. It is not the reality condition. So what is the reality? The reality is something like this. I'm going to draw the reality. First 20% of the population who are closer to the 0, because I have arranged the population in an ascending order, are poorer people. Right? Ascending order means a small income, then big income, bigger income. Right? So they will be able to contribute only 80 rupees, whereas they have to contribute 200 rupees as a total. You follow what we said? The first 20 people together who are supposed to give the 200 rupees, they can give only 80 rupees, lesser amount. Similarly, we keep doing things. We are going to draw a curve. If the curve is getting deeper, We are moving away and away from the line of equality, from the line of equality. The more we are moving away and away from the line of equality, the more inequality is there in the society. The calculation goes in a cumulative way. It is not seeing third quintile versus, suppose if we say third quintile is also having 20 people, they have to give 200 rupees. It is not third quintile versus their contribution. It is cumulative. Every time you have to read the data as first 20 people have to give 200. Did they give? No, they didn't, because they are poor. First 40 people, they had to give 400. Now if you see, first 40% of the people are not able to give 40% of the resources, then there is inequality. Right? Then what will happen? The last quintile people, the 20 people in the last quintile, they have to give only 20%, but they will be giving 30%. So they are giving more. That is also inequality. Right? So that is what is getting represented through this graph, which is talking about levels of inequality. Right? We will get the 1,000 rupees. Somebody is contributing and we are getting it completed. But who is contributing? Is it getting contributed equally? No. First and second quintiles will be contributing lesser, and third, fourth, fifth quintiles will be slightly contributing more than what they have to contribute. That's how the construction of the curve will happen. Quartile assessment can also be done, but that's how this this calculation of Lorentz curve is being done. Statistically, we always divide them into 5 equal groups, and usually in a country we call that first 20%, the quintile 1, as the percentage of population who are in poverty. That's how it matches, right? You can also do one more type of a calculation to understand the gap between the first quintile. You can also take this contribution by the quintile 5. It's not right. You can write quintile 5 by quintile 1. That's also possible. So quintile 5 is giving 350 rupees and quintile 1 is giving only 80 rupees. So that can also be seen as a gap. They will be giving more and these people will be giving less to the expected 200 rupees per quintile. That's also one way of representing. Right? Have we understood the Lorentz curve? I want to tell you about Gini index. Have we understood the construction of Lorentz curve? The curve is called as Lorentz curve. The inequality, whatever the curve which I have drawn on the board is called as the Lorentz curve. But this is only a visual presentation. I can just see it, but I can't say exactly how much is the inequality. For that only I am going to now go do what is called as the Gini index. Gini index is a mathematical concept. Right now, what I want all of you to do is go back a bit to your school ages, and then think about something called as a right-angled triangle. Why am I asking you? I'm going to tell you this. One extreme situation I have told you now. What is this one extreme situation? When everybody is giving the equal amount. That is how we have constructed this line of equality. But you all said that this line of Q5 by Q1, I'll tell you later again. Right? Income of all the quintiles will be known by survey which will be conducted based on the consumption expenditure. Don't get into the reality right now. I'm just throwing you some smaller numbers so that we finish the discussion. Then I'll get you to the national level. As of now, this classroom, 100 people are there. I made everybody to stand according to their income level. I asked all of them to give me 1,000 rupees. So everybody gave together. I needed 1,000 rupees. Everybody gave me 10 rupees. With that, I constructed the line of equality. Now there is no equality because that is a reality. So somebody gave me 2 rupees, somebody gave me 1 rupee, somebody gave me 20 rupees. So with that, I have constructed the Lorentz curve. I am done with this telling of the construction of the Lorentz curve. But now I am going to tell you one more extreme situation. One extreme situation is, I told you, everybody in this classroom, 100 people giving me the same amount. The other extreme condition is, all that 1,000 rupees, what if the last person who is in the quintile 5 gives me? The other things are all very meager, negligible. But the major chunk, like how we are describing for the country, the total national income, 90% of the national income is coming from the top 5% of the population. So that kind of a situation I'm trying to reiterate here. And I am trying to tell you that what if the 1,000 rupee is coming from that 100th person? That is another extreme. That is this. Right? When I complete this line, I am going to, can I have colors for this? The diagram is not very neat. Are you seeing this right? The red color thing is a right angled triangle. This right angled triangle is telling you the border lines within which your Lorentz curve can operate. What are the border lines? One, the extreme, the 45-degree line of equality, where you can say that everybody giving equal income, they fall on the line of equality. The number two is falling on this Z axis. What is Z axis? This is Z axis. This is X axis. This is Y axis. Right? So the curve is going to come lower, deeper and deeper. And one fine day, it falls on this X axis and the Z axis. It goes and merges with these two axes. Why will it happen? It will happen when the 100th person gives the total money, which is the 1,000 rupees. You heard? Right? So this is the border line within which the Lorentz curve can operate. Now, what we are going to do is, I have to erase a bit. Okay. Where do I go for the pencil? Pencil. Okay. So what we are going to now do is, going to call this area inside this curve as A. It's not letting me to write. Wait. Yeah. Area inside this Lorentz curve as A. The rest of the area as B. What I am interested is A. A divided by A plus B. What does that mean? There is a total right angled triangle. I am interested in one part of that right angled triangle. Why am I interested in only A? That is the deviation from the line of equality. How much has it deviated is going to tell me how much is the measure of inequality in the country. I'll finish the question, I'll finish the concept, then I'll take the questions. I'm not opening up the chat box now. I'm trying to tell you the extremes are, one is line of equality, another one is what if 100th person pays everything. So I put a right angled triangle and I have drawn a Lorentz curve here inside. And now I am saying I am interested in measuring only this A in the total right angled triangle, because that is a measure of inequality. And I am going to tell that this answer A divided by A plus B is going to be somewhere between 0 to 1. Positive value. Right? So if the answer is 0.33, 0.44, 0.45, which means that I have measured this area which is below this line of equality. If it is 0.67, 0.75 and all, it will be a very deep curve. So the more and more the curve is moving away from the line of equality, it will become measure of inequality. Why there is 83 chat? Okay, just give me a sec. Screen is not. Just give me a second. Screen visible? So screen visible now? Is the screen visible now? Okay. Okay, I'll tell again. What I'm trying to tell is, I have written an area called as A in it, is it not? Are you all seeing the area A, which I have marked with the crisscross area, right? We had just drawn this Lorentz curve. Now I have drawn this crisscross area only to say that how much have I deviated out of this line of equality. I have marked it. This is the area what I want to calculate within the right angled triangle, which is the right area, this big area. I hope in the school days you would have done something as area within the right angled triangle. How do you calculate it? Here, just as a representation, a graphical representation, I have given the formula here as A divided by A plus B. What is this area A, which is this crisscross area? Why am I interested in A out of the total A plus B? A plus B is a total right angled triangle's area. But I am interested only in A out of the A plus B. Why am I interested only in A? Because that is the deviation from the line of equality, and that much inequality is there only in the economy or in the society. So I want to calculate it numerically, number wise. There is a formula for it. I am not getting into the formula, but the answer gets into 0 to 1. 0 to 1. Like your HDA. So if I say 0.33 is the answer, I have calculated the area inside the right angled triangle, which is A. 30% it has moved from the line of equality. Like that I have calculated. Right? Now I am going to ask you 2 questions. You can answer into the chat box. Unless you answer, we don't understand the concept. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Number 1, when will this formula A divided by A plus B become into 0? I repeat the question. Gini index is going to take a value from the formula A divided by A plus B. I told you what is A. I told you what is A plus B. A plus B is the total right angled triangle. Right? So when will you have Gini index taking a value of 0? 0 means A divided by A plus B. That formula should become 0. When will it happen? Right? When A becomes 0, or when there is no inequality, when there is total equality. So we say it in another way. What you have said is right. The curve is going to go and fall on the line of equality. There is no curve. It moves like this, and it goes and falls on the line of equality. There is no curve. The curve is merging, and it becomes into the line of equality. Straight line, right? Which means that there is no inequality. Which means that our first case situation, everybody contributed 10 rupees towards that 1000 rupees. That is perfect equality. 0 Gini means perfect equality. Put this into your mind forever. 1000 times UPSC will ask this question. Put this concept forever into your mind. Gini index taking a value of 0 means perfect equality. Words are very, very important. We are not changing the terminology. Perfect equality should be the word. No other answer to it. Gini becomes 0. Perfect equality. Now comes the question. Second question. When will Gini become 1? When will Gini become 1? I want to see the answers. When will Gini become 1? I'll tell you a clue. A becomes, this formula is there, no. A will become A divided by A plus B. There will not be any B. It will become A by A. A by A is 1. Mathematically, am I right? A by A is 1. Everybody is agreeing. B is equal to 0. When will B become 0? In the diagram, all the 1000 rupees is being paid by that one person. Is it not? Wait, this chat box is not closing. Just give me a sec. When the curve is, the line of equality is like this. We had a curve. The curve becomes deeper and deeper and deeper, and then it comes and merges with that Z axis. So now it is on this. like this. I'll pick up another color and then I'll draw. It becomes like this. So the entire area will become into A then. There is no B. We understood? All the 1,000 rupees is being given by the last one person. That's when you will get the straight line. At that time, the curve will move and move and move. It will move like this, it will move like this, it will move like this, and then it will come and fall on this. So there is no B. So then the formula will change as A divided by A, which will become equivalent to 1. So that situation, Gini is equivalent to 1 is perfect inequality. That's all is the concept. Lorentz curve is a diagrammatical or a graphical presentation of measuring income inequality. Gini index is a mathematical way of representing the income inequality. Gini takes a value between 0 to 1. And how do you interpret the value of Gini? Right? Lorentz curve will fall on the x-axis and the z-axis when all the 1,000 rupees is being given by one last individual. That's called as the perfect inequality. Perfect inequality is not everybody is equally contributing. One person is contributing everything. That's also one extreme hypothetical. I told you the right angle, the triangle is the area within which your Lorentz curve will operate. I'm giving you the two extreme situations, but 0 will come when everybody is contributing equally. Then there is no Lorentz curve because everybody is contributing equally. That's when the curve will move and move and move and it will become into the 45-degree line of equality. When the curve falls on the line of equality, Gini takes a value of 0 because there is no area of A. It will become 0 by B, which will become answer as 0. Right? Gini will have a value between 0 to 1. If there is a construction of between these two lines, that is how usually it will be. Right? It will be some value like 0.44, 0.32, 0.21, anything can be there. It will be called as positive value. Right? If you are having value more than 0.50, then we want to call it as higher inequality countries. If it is lesser than 0.50, we call it as lower inequality countries. That's a general interpretation what we take. No Lorentz curve is not possible because not everybody is equally contributing. Right? If you have all understood what is Lorentz curve and Gini index, I have two more questions to ask. Are we all ready? Have we followed whatever we have said so far? புரிஞ்சதா நான் சொன்னது? சமஜ்லியா? அர்த்தமைந்தா? மனசிலாயா? I don't know, that much only I know. Gottaita? Right? For all the students. For all the students. All languages. Right. Now I want to ask you two questions. What was the two question? Gottaita. Okay. Take two states of India. One is Maharashtra. I'm just giving you as an example. Another one is Odisha. Now you tell me where will be the Gini more and where will be Gini less. For Maharashtra, Gini is more or less. Maharashtra. I'm getting into Maharashtra. Right? Gini will be more or less. You now know the Gini actually ranges between 0 to 1. More or less. If you are saying Gini is more, tell me the reason why. If you tell if it is less, you have to tell me the reason why. Why? Why is Gini more? Why is Gini more? Ambani. Okay. Why is Gini more? Because the difference between the rich and the poor is wide. That's all. Exactly. That's how you have to understand. The difference between the quintile 5 and quintile 1 is very wide, which is why I wanted you to understand this Q5 by Q1. There will be very rich people, there will be very, very poor people. So the difference between the rich and the poor is wide, which is why the Gini is going to happen higher. Right? Now you tell me Gini is low in Odisha or high in Odisha? Tell me some answer. Odisha. Now Bihar, Odisha. Give me some result for Guinea for Odisha. It is going to be low. Why is it going to be low? Reason? Why? Why is it low? It is low, okay. What is the reason? What's the reason? Nobody is writing the reason. All are poor. So that's the answer. What is that? All are equally poor. You heard the word? All are equally poor. Right? The income levels of everybody is less. Therefore, Guinea is less. This is all you have to understand. Please understand this. If a country is having Guinea as less, or if a state is having Guinea as less, if you just look at from outside the interpretation of Guinea, it is wonderful. Why is it wonderful? Because inequality is less, which is a thing which you have to appreciate. But we can't say that Guinea being less is appreciable unless we understand the context of the state or the country. I hope we followed what we wanted to tell. Right? If you go and talk about the Scandinavian countries, Guinea will be less for them also because everybody will be equally rich. But if you want to talk about Odisha, Guinea will be less, but everybody will be equally poor. So unless you contextualize the country or the state, you are not supposed to comment upon Guinea without understanding the context. That's the major limitation of Guinea index. Guinea is just a number. If everybody is equally poor, it will say it is very good, low level of inequality. But Maharashtra is actually a better state, or even Tamil Nadu is a better state when compared to Odisha. But level of Guinea will be higher. For that, you should not say that Maharashtra is bad. So always we need to have a comprehensive assessment. As you are all writing, there should be always an understanding about the country or the state, level of development and the association with Guinea. Right? So that's very, very important. So don't ever interpret Guinea separately. But understand the concept of Guinea. It works on the numbers. It's going to show you the statistical difference between the different groups of people, particularly the people when they are arranged in an ascending order. Right? It's not contributing, or it's not contributing. So now I will escalate whatever I have told you to the country level. What we have said about the country level is that 1,000 rupees, that's the total national income, and every person's contribution, the 10 rupees what I told you is the every person's total income. So if I add up everybody's income, you know how we are calculating national income. You can go by the income method for a better understanding. You add up everybody's income and then you present it as the national income, but you want to see every person's contribution of the share, right? So this is how it will be. A plus B will always remain constant because it will be the total area of the right angled triangle. And this is how we are trying to understand the measure of inequality. This will be presented in the human development report in the measurement, in the inequality index and all, they will be measuring it. We have the gender inequality index, we have the gender development index, we have the human development index. In the same report, they will also be presenting it with the Guinea index, and they will also compare the Q5 with Q1. Right? So when you are talking about, when there is a question, don't get into any kind of taxation calculation and all when you are talking about this income inequality. It's just the total income, right? Limitation is you have to understand the level of development of a country or a state and then interpret Guinea. If you simply say that Guinea for a particular state is less, so therefore the state is doing in a very good level, that's a bad answer, because if you are saying Guinea for Odisha, it will look less, but it is not true that the state is doing very well. Maybe in one way, we should just understand that everybody is poor, and that's not a good situation. When everybody becomes rich, and then when the Guinea becomes less, that's the way how you can say it's a very good situation. Right? So that's what we said about the limitation. You can see this Guinea value being written for the states as well as for the countries. Um, so always look at Lorenz curve and the Gini index together and also contextualize it and then interpret. Gini index, they will even combine this concept of distribution concept at different levels. When I get into public finance, you were all asking about the taxation part. I will escalate this into there. Somebody is asking what is Q5 by Q1. It is like income of the rich people by income of the poor people. That's the meaning of Q5 by Q1. Q5 will be the richest section of the society. Q1 will be the poorest section of the society. So it is rich income versus the poor income. That's the meaning of Q5 by Q1, right? So if we are done up to here, I want to like move ahead with the next topic, which is on the public finance. Still we have like one more small concept on this about the inclusive growth. I'll tell you about the inclusive growth once we are done with the public finance, right? Are we done with most of the concepts on this? So I'll just start. I hardly have like another 5-10 minutes, but at least let me just put one beginning line for the public finance, then we will continue in the next class, right? So next class, I will come with something called as concept clarity sheet. You all will be answering questions on national income, growth and development. I'll share it in the class. I'll give you like 5-10 minutes time, then we continue answering it. Okay, so that your doubt on whether whatever we have learned so far is it sufficient for answering the prelims question in this area, those things will be clarified. All the questions I will bring from the previous year preliminary examination, and I'll also get you some of the mock questions, right, from whatever we have prepared in the previous years and now also. So the other indices, whatever you are seeing, they are all not so important. So that is all depending upon the economic survey. Every year we keep learning about those indicators. So whichever becomes on the top, we learn most of them. Where am I? Public finance. I told you I still have not finished the concept on inclusive growth, which I will do once my public finance class is over. That's one mains question after growth and development is over. How should the growth look like? So that we will tell. Right. A divided by A plus B is the formula for Gini index. Just to understand, I have written to look at the graph and then understand. But we are not getting into the technical details of like how do I calculate. If you want the detail of calculating the area inside the right angled triangle, I can still give you the formula. But not for our examination purpose. They keep asking about two things. What does Gini 0 mean? What does Gini 1 mean? So for that, you need to understand the concept thoroughly. Line of equality should immediately come into your mind when Gini becomes 0. Right? Did I share any screen? Are you able to see the screen? Is my screen visible? I have just put up the first slide on the public finance chapter. You're all able to see the screen? Yes. Right. So we are just starting with the government sector. If you recall back with the, I'm not going to go into much of the details. I'm just starting with the PPT. I just want to give you one perspective and then I'll stop there and we will continue in the next class. What is this one perspective? We are going to start with the government sector as we studied in our circular flow of income. We were talking about the government sector collecting the taxes and then it is spending it back to the economy. So what exactly is government doing is going to be the starting point for us to study about the government is going to be the budget, right? So what is this budget? Generally, if I ask what is budget, you all will answer it as a It's a financial statement. Every year the government presents the budget. The budget is going to tell you what, how the country is going to earn, how the country is going to spend. But in this, I want to ask you some questions. You're going into a difference between consolidated fund, public fund. Those things will come. There are lots of topics what we are going to study in budget. Whatever you study now, it will be the basic structure of the budget. It is very, very important. Definitely one question will come from the structure every year. I'll give you the evidence. It's going to be an annual financial statement. It's going to tell about how the government is earning and how the government is spending. Now, the question is this. When does the country usually announce the budget? Which month of the year? You can answer in the chat. I've kept it open. February? Yeah, January and February. Usually earlier they used to do it as end of March. And now I want all of you to recall back. For India, I'm just asking. I'm not going into worldwide. Usually they used to announce it towards the end of Feb or nowadays the March end. Now we are having it in the Jan end, Jan 31st or Feb 1st. That's how it's happening. Now I want you to tell one more thing. Can you just recall what is a financial year? Everybody, recall. Financial year will be 1st of April to March 31st. So now we are in the financial year which started with 1st April of 2020 and it will go on to March 31st of 2021. Right? For some time, till I finish telling you this thing, I want you to travel in the timeline so that we understand what the budget is going to do. I'm just going to tell you a few words about how the budget is presented. You all know the finance minister will go with one box or with one jolna by these days. They just go to the parliament to present the budget. When they present the budget, they are going to present the budget for the financial year. Right? Now, I'm going to write a timeline. Till I finish this, you are not moving out of the timeline. You are not assuming anything else other than what I am telling you as the timeline. Right? What is a timeline? I'm just drawing a line. It's not letting me write. Wait. I want one more page. Okay. So budget. I'm in Jan 31st or let me finish writing. Somebody is asking control of the screen and all. I can't do it right now. Please give me some time. I'm just wanting to tell you something. The finance minister is coming. Let me say I am on February 1st of 2020. Right? I come and present the budget for the financial year. I'm going to write you the budget, that financial year. What is a financial year? April 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021. Right? I come and present this. When I do this, I want to call it as budget estimate. I'm just coming and telling you, this is how I am planning. I think my income tax will give this much. I think I have to spend on salary this much. I think I have to spend on defense this much. I think I have to pay this much of interest. So these are all the things. I'm going to tell you all the headings of the budget structure. I'm just telling, I'm just standing in a timeline. You are traveling with me in time till I finish writing this. We're all parallelly on February 1st, 2020. The budget is getting presented. The budget has been presented for the forthcoming financial year. Everybody understood this? Can you see the chat box? Have you all understood whatever we have said so far? Right. Now, when you do this, there are two more things which you can actually parallelly do. I'll assume that I'm the person who is actually representing and then present the budget. What's my board? I can do two more things when I present the budget. What are the two more things? This is forthcoming financial year. I'm writing FY as financial year, right? FY is financial year. This is upcoming, forthcoming financial year. I have presented a budget. I am in the current financial year. Why am I calling current financial year? I am on the February 1st. This February 1st is going to fall within this period. Everybody follows? February 1st to 2020 is within this current financial year, right? So for this current financial year, last year they would have presented a budget. Agree? Right? So what I'm going to do is when I'm presenting the budget of the forthcoming financial year, I give a revised estimate of the current financial year. Right? I'm going to write one more financial year. This is called as completed financial year. RE is revised estimate. If somebody is wondering what is this, I'll write it. For this, I'm going to give you the actual data. I'm going to tell you three things now. When I stand in a particular day, February 1st of 2020, I can talk about three things. One is completed financial year. Two is current financial year. Three is upcoming or forthcoming financial year. I can talk about 3 years data. Right? When I talk about the forthcoming financial year, I call the word as budget estimate. This is what I have budgeted for the forthcoming financial year. When I talk about the current financial year, I budgeted something in last February, but I am going to revise it. Why am I going to revise it? I'll tell you a simpler example. February 1st of 2019, they would have given a budget for that particular forthcoming financial year. That time they would have said, I am going to collect 1 lakh as the income tax, right? But maybe in the current year, I was able to collect only 90,000. Maybe I could collect only 80,000. So I am revising this number 1 lakh to 90,000. So that is what is happening here in this revised estimate. Right? Then I am going to tell you the actual number of that completed financial year. What is that? In 2019 March 31st ending, I collected 80,000. Then I budgeted so that I can collect 1 lakh, but I am now revising it to 90,000. Right? For the forthcoming financial year, I have a different plan. Have you followed whatever we have said? I will write one more year, then you will fall into place. Assume you are getting into February 1st, 2021. What is the financial year to which you will be presenting the budget? What is the financial year on February 1st to 2021 you will be presenting the budget? I'm going to write it. I'm going to write it. Please don't give up now, please. April 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022. Everybody is with me on this? April 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022, right? That will be called as budget estimate. This will become the current year and this will become the revised estimate. This year will become the completed year and this will become the actual data. Have you all followed whatever I have said? I don't know, I'm going to open the chat box. Right? Have you followed whatever I have written on the board? Yes or no? Chat is not responding. Just give me a sec. Whatever is in the forthcoming year, it will be called as budget estimate. Whatever is in the current year, it will get revised. Whatever is completed, it will be called as actual. That's all I want to tell you. Right? Revised estimate is, in the previous year, they would have given a budget. They would have said that this year I have to collect 1 lakh as the income tax. But maybe I was able to collect only 90,000. So I am revising my estimate. For any one financial year, you can imagine like this, sir. There will be a budgeted estimate. We will say 1 lakh I have to collect as the income tax. Then there will be a revised estimate. I'm in the month of February. That financial year is still not over. So I'm just giving you a revised data. I planned for 1 lakh, but I'm collecting, I could collect so far only 90,000. Once that March 31st is over, it becomes the actual data. I'm saying that I budgeted for 1 lakh. I revised it for 90,000, but I could collect only 75,000. Are we following? That's the actual data. This is something like this. When you start in the morning, you are thinking like, today I will study 3 lessons of economics. Towards the evening, right? You would have studied only 1 lesson of economics. So you're revising. I'm having only another 3-4 hours in the evening. So let me just study another half of the chapter. Tomorrow when I ask you, you will be saying, I planned for 3 lessons. I studied only 1.5 lesson, right? So that's the actual data. But in the evening, you said, I have finished up to 1. I may be studying another half a lesson. That evening is that February 1st. Because the day is still not over. Because the financial year is still not over. I am revising my targets. Hope it made sense. If you're going to ask me, what did I study in the next day? I'll tell the previous day thing as the actual data. I budgeted for 3 lessons. I studied only 1.5 lesson. In between, I revised a bit. When did I revise? I revised it in the evening. What is that evening? That evening is that February 1st. Are we done? So please remember this. We are going to see, I'm going to show you the economic survey. You will be seeing 3 data in it. Budget estimate, revised estimate, actual data. Budget estimate is for the forthcoming financial year. Revised estimate is for the current financial year. Actual data is for the completed financial year. Done? So with this, we'll stop the class today. I will be continuing about the public finance. I just said like, when is the budget getting presented? The publication which comes along with the budget is called as economic survey. Who publishes economic survey? Ministry of Finance. All these things, again, I'll repeat in the next class. I'm just saying budget is presented. When budget is getting presented, we are going to talk about 3 years of data. What you hear from the newspaper or the TV is only about what they are going to do in the next financial year or in the upcoming financial year, which is only about the budget estimate. But as economic students, we have to study what did we budget, how did we revise, how did we actually collect. All the 3 things we are going to do in the next class. We're going to study. We budgeted for 1 lakh. We thought like we can only collect 90,000, which is a revision, but finally we ended up collecting only 80,000. So that's the actual thing. So how the country is being run with these kinds of numbers, we will see from the next class. Anything you can always write to me. I have already said like my mail ID I have given to you. Again, I will now give you my mail ID. You can write to me the thing. I hope we were able to like complete the agenda what we wanted to do in today's class. I was really thankful to all of you when you answered the questions over the message, chat message. It was like encouraging me a lot to like keep on asking you the questions. I'm really happy with you all students. Please keep participating in the class so that we make it much more interactive and then make it much more lively, right? So that's the most important part for a teacher. When I get to know like I'm able to listen to all of you, I become really like feeling as if I'm talking to you continuously. Thank you a lot. You can write back to me through my mail ID. Anything you can write to me and I'll be answering it. Okay. Trying to type my mail ID, it's all going. Not becoming into. Yeah, I'm trying to type it only if like, just give me a second. If nobody is typing only, I think I'll be able to type. Yes. Hope the mail ID got posted. Not able to see it yet. So let's, I'll answer all the questions. So please write to this mail ID. Let's wind up the class here, and we'll continue with the government related budget structure in the next class. I have told you, I've reserved some parts of the national income. I know like what are the topics which we have kept pending. Similarly, inclusive growth. That's one thing. Once we are done with this government's sectors budget related discussion, then we will get back to the question, because government has a lot of role in ensuring the inclusive growth. Everybody has to participate in the process of inclusive growth. I will discuss it once this topic on the public finances over. Thanks a lot. Good day.